Welcome to Kyalami in South Africa for the first round of the 1982 Motor Racing Grand Prix World Championship. This circuit is 6,000 feet above sea level, and this poses particular problems for the normally aspirated engines. But before we start with that, there have been a lot of driver changes during the closed season. And here we see Nelson Piquet in his Parmalat Brabham, powered by a turbocharged BMW engine, as is number 2 Riccardo Patrese's car, the Italian driver new to the Brabham team for 1982. In number 3 is Michel Alboreto in the Ken Tyrrell car. This, of course, normally aspirated. In number 4 is Slim Borgud. This is a Swedish driver, well known to pop lovers because he's the drummer with ABBA. In car number 5 is Carlos Reutemann, back with the Saudia Williams team. He finished second in the World Championship last year. Joining him in car number 6 is Keke Rosberg from Finland, a driver who certainly has a lot of talent and hopes to prove it this year. Number 7 is our old favourite, the British driver John Watson in the Marlboro McLaren. He won the British Grand Prix last year. In number 8, and welcome back to motor racing, for the Austrian driver Niki Lauda, having something of an off moment in practice. In number 9 is Eliseo Salazar in the ATS. Salazar, comparatively inexperienced. Number 10 is Manfred Winkelhock. From Formula 2, he's in the second of the ATS cars. In number 11, we have Italian Elio De Angelis. He's in the John Player Special Lotus. In car number 12, it's Englishman Nigel Mansell. This two-car John Player Special team for Colin Chapman will be hoping for fine things this year. In number 15, perhaps the fancied runner for today's race, Alain Prost in the turbocharged Renault. He's joined by René Arnoux in the same type of car. And these two turbocharged Renaults must be fancied for today's race. Number 17 is Jochen Mass. It's a welcome back for Jochen, the German driver, in the March. In number 18, we have Raul Boesel, also in a March 8-1. Raul Boesel from Brazil. In number 20, Chico Serra, Brazilian driver for a Brazilian team, the Fittipaldi. In car number 22, we have Andrea De Cesaris in the first of the Alfa Romeo cars. These are also turbocharged. In number 23, Italian, making up an Italian team, Bruno Giacomelli. In car number 25, Eddie Cheever has found himself a new seat for the 1982 season. He's in the Talbot Ligier, sponsored by Gitane and sporting a Matra engine. He's joined teammate number 26, Jacques Lafitte. Jacques Lafitte, who finished third in the World Championship last year. A very exciting prospect in number 27 is Gilles Villeneuve, because he has a new car, the new Ferrari 126C. Joining him as well is number 28, and this is Didier Pironi, the French driver in the Italian car. A very exciting prospect to see how the new cars go. Number 29, the Ragno car, is Marc Sure's car, but unfortunately Marc will not be driving. He suffered a practice accident. Number 30 is Mauro Baldi, also in an Arrows. It's ironic that Marc Sure should have had an accident similar to the one he had here 2 years ago. Number 31, Jean-Pierre Jarier in the first of the Acellas. Number 32 will be Riccardo Paletti, also in an Ocella. Derek Daly is making a return to Grand Prix racing in 1982 in the Theodore, number 33, the young Irishman hoping for better fortunes during the 1982 season. Derek Warwick, who drove so well at Las Vegas last year, is still in the Candy Tolman, powered by a Brian Hart engine. He's joined by Formula 2 ace Teo Fabi, Italian driver, not inappropriate for an Italian sponsor. And they're lined up on the grid now, and we see in pole position the amazingly quick Renaults. René Arnoux in pole position, 1 minute 6.351. Alongside him, Nelson Piquet in the Brabham. Second row, Villeneuve in the Ferrari, Patrese in the Brabham. Third row, Prost in the Renault, and Pironi in the Ferrari. Rosberg and Reutemann are on the fourth row. As the cars come round at the end of their warming up lap, we see them taking up their positions now on the grid. René Arnoux in pole position. There is Nelson Piquet as the cars come round into order, followed by the pace car, the patrol car. They take up their positions. We wait for the start of this, the first round of the 1982 championship season. Will it be a turbocharged race? Will they totally dominate this race? The red lights are on. Any moment now, they'll switch to green and the cars are away. Arnoux makes a brilliant start. Piquet is left standing, but Arnoux goes well. He's followed by Prost. The two Ferraris are there. Keke Rosberg is also going well in the Williams. My goodness me, that was an exciting start, but certainly one full of drama for Piquet as he was swallowed up by the rest of the pack. And they now surge through the first right-hander, Crowthorne corner. We can see now that it's René Arnoux and Alain Prost. 1-2 for Renault. Car number 16 leading number 15. Then the two Ferraris and then Rosberg in the first of the Williams. It's interesting that Rosberg in a normally aspirated car should be in 5th place at this moment in time. The leaders through this left-hander down into the S's. And now the order still the same, with Rosberg seeming to hang on to Didier Pironi, who's in 4th place in the second of the Ferrari turbocharged cars. And there is Jean-Pierre Jarier in the Acela, getting out of his car. Happily, it looks as though he's okay, but the car looks to be somewhat second-hand as it's gone through 3 layers of catch fencing, and the ever-present marshals are there to assist him off the circuit. Bad luck for the Acela team. Back with the race, and now we see that Alain Prost is right in behind his teammate, René Arnoux. Also, the two Ferraris are very close together and in contention. But now we see the field beginning to spread out, and it looks to me as though this may well go the way the race was predicted, as being a race dominated by the enormous power of the turbocharged cars. Kyalami circuit has one of the fastest straights in Grand Prix motor racing, and in practice it was reported that these Renault cars were exceeding 200 miles an hour. Quick stuff indeed, and we shall watch them as they go down the fast straights. Still René Arnoux leading from Alain Prost. A real French battle here, both Frenchmen driving French cars. Alain Prost, I think, slightly younger at 26 than his teammate, and perhaps with slightly less experience. But he's a charismatic driver, and a lot of people have tipped him as a future world champion. We see them coming down that amazingly fast straight here at Kyalami, through the fast right-hander Crowthorne corner. Still the order the same, with Gilles Villeneuve in the Ferrari, the 126C, in 3rd place, from Didier Pironi, French driver in Italian car, in 4th place. The leader once more, number 16, René Arnoux, followed by Alain Prost. Then the two Ferraris. You can see the interval between the first car and the 4th car is still only perhaps 2 or 3 seconds, very close indeed. And apparently Pironi has closed up on Villeneuve at the present moment. But this young Quebecois, a driver full of fire and enthusiasm, always exciting to watch. He will be hoping to outpace the Renault cars in the first round of the 1982 championship season here in South Africa at Kyalami. Renault 1 and 2. Ferrari 3 and 4. The first 4 cars turbocharged. Keke Rosberg goes through in 5th place. In 6th place, it's Riccardo Patrese, and in 7th place, Carlos Reutemann. So there are still 2 Williams cars up there in the first 7. Through the left-hander, my goodness me, these Renaults do look so smooth as they go along this 2.5-mile course in South Africa. And drama. Drama indeed, and that, I believe, yes, it's Nelson Piquet, the reigning world champion, has slammed through some layers of catch fencing into the Armco. But I believe something must have broken. It would be unlike Nelson to make an error, and so the Brabham driver is out of the race, and very frustrated he will be. Back with the race leader, and it is still René Arnoux, but Alain Prost in close attendance. Well, that's the first retirement of a turbocharged car, and if there is any question at all about the turbo cars, it may be their reliability. Although certainly that was not an engine problem, I would think that something may have broken on the suspension to, of course, Piquet to drop out of the race. See Prost still in close contention now with René Arnoux. Arnoux leading, Prost second. In ninth, and a big cloud of smoke goes up, and that is drama for Gilles Villeneuve in the Ferrari. The Quebecois driver is out of the race, and other drivers struggle to see through the clouds of smoke in order to find their way past the Ferrari driver. And there is Villeneuve. He's still going, but at a very, very slow pace. You can see smoke pouring from the engine. He will be trying to get the car back into the pits. It's the 7th lap of this Kyalami Grand Prix. Gilles Villeneuve is out, and you can see the car streaming past him in the background. So Villeneuve into the pits, gets the car back to the pits, and now we see his teammate. It's Didier Pironi, car number 28. He now flies the flag for Ferrari, the prancing horse team that has such a rich history in Grand Prix motor racing. They don't have too proud a record of success over the last few years, but with this new Harvey Postlethwaite chassis, I think we shall see a dramatic resurgence of Ferrari fortunes. This is the first time that they have fielded a modern chassis. And now we go back to the leaders. There, number 22 being taken by the race leader. No, sorry, that's Alain Prost. Is number 22, and that is the Alfa Romeo driver, Andrea de Cesaris. He's been lapped by Alain Prost. You could see, just going out of picture, René Arnoux, who is in the lead. So those two Renault drivers are still out in front, first and second, and dominating this race. One Ferrari out, Didier Pironi now in third place, and that means that Renault fortunes are still looking very good. Long sweeping right-hand bend, it's an uphill bend which takes them onto the very fast straight through the kink, a fast right-hander, which is quite a daunting prospect at the amazing speeds which these cars develop. They come through the fast right-hand kink, past the pits, under the bridge, and down towards the end of this amazingly fast straight. And now we still have Alain Prost in our picture, going through Crowthorne Corner, going past number 10, Manfred Winkelhock. René Arnoux has established a new lap record at 1 minute 9.763, 131.594 miles an hour, over 211 kilometers per hour. Prost and Arnoux has the Prost, and that was the ATS behind, of course. So Alain Prost looking very good at this stage, but having to run second to his teammate René Arnoux. Could it be that Alain Prost is sitting in there comfortably? And more drama for Brabham, because sadly it looks as though the Riccardo Patrese car, number 2, is coming into the pits. Yes, there he goes. A very slow entry. What is it? Tyre trouble, engine trouble, and the fact that Patrese snatches off the emergency oxygen supply from his helmet indicates that his race is run. He's stopping there, and I think it will be a very unhappy Brabham pit crew that discussed the problems with Patrese. There's no frenzied activity, a surefire indication that his race is run. So we've lost the two BMW turbocharged Brabhams early in the race, and that's very sad indeed. As we go back to the race, we rejoin Didier Pironi once more. He's tucked in behind the sole Fittipaldi representative, Chico Serra. And if Pironi is in fine form, it shouldn't be too long before we see him scythe past the young Brazilian. Chico Serra started in Formula Ford, went up through Formula 3 and Formula 2, the accepted route to a seat in Grand Prix motor racing. Didier Pironi scythes past him and continues on his way. No, he doesn't. He's into the pits. Amazing. Didier Pironi into the pits. Now, just how serious is this? It's a tyre problem. The Ferrari, wearing Goodyear tyres at the moment, has a complete four-wheel change, and it looks as though this is a quick one. Didier Pironi sitting there, a quick conversation with Mauro Forghieri, the team manager. A little bit of trouble on this rear tyre this side. Otherwise, that would have been a very, very quick pit stop indeed. Yes, the mechanics come round to change the pneumatic equipment, but they don't. Down it goes, and Pironi rejoins the race. He will have lost at least a lap, I would think, as he comes out onto the circuit once more. The sole car for Ferrari left into the race. Out, here comes Didier Pironi. Out of the pits, over to the left-hand side of the track, through the right-hander, Crowthorne corner, and now he's got a big battle to get up with the leaders. We see De Cesaris now, with Rosberg in behind him, and behind him is number 4, Slim Borgud in the Tyrrell. Rosberg goes past De Cesaris in the Alfa Romeo, and Slim Borgud is denied the opportunity of going past with Rosberg. Rosberg in 4th place in the race at the present moment, with Pironi making that dramatic pit stop, is going very well indeed in his first race for the Williams team. Frank Williams will be highly impressed with his performance so far. Keke Rosberg, new to the team this year, needs to put in a good early performance to underline his real talent. Now, the Alfa Romeo goes through, and that, I'm sure, is Niki Lauda. Could it be... No, it's John Watson. John Watson, who is at this moment in time running in 6th place in the race, I do believe. We'll just check that out in a moment. 6th place, yes, for John Watson, and he goes down through, or tries to, on the inside of car number 23, Bruno Giacomelli, who's further back down the field. He's been lapped by John Watson. Rosberg comes through, and this time I'm sure he is trying very hard to take De Cesaris. There is the Marlboro McLaren just ahead of the Alfa Romeo. These cars, very difficult to pick out. They're red and white colours, sometimes being confusing, and one looks for the colour of the driver's helmet in order to identify them. Watty Watson goes through there, through the right-hander, and on, that is Sunset. He's going on down to the left-hander at Clubhouse on his way to the S's on this very demanding Kyalami circuit. Number 7, John Watson. He will be anxious to have a good season and to be high in the points. He's very conscious of the fact that he's not one of the younger drivers, and he is warding off the challenges from the very many young drivers that are desperately trying to get into Grand Prix motor racing. Number 22 there, taken by John Watson. That is Andrea De Cesaris in the Alfa Romeo. And now, drama for the Tyrrell of Slim Borgud, and I've just realised he's pointing the wrong way. And you can see in the background an occasional flash as drivers go past in the opposite direction. He's obviously had a 180-degree spin. He seems to be having problems with his gearbox, but he really should not be driving in the wrong direction down the circuit. Well, and now he's going in reverse. This is extraordinary. He's now, I think, probably trying to get in a better position to do a U-turn. Yes, he's poised. He's now reversing back, and he goes across. he stopped again right in the middle. Oh dear, I'm not sure that this will be popular with other drivers. He gets it going again, and you can see 1, 2 cars going past Borgood very quickly. So that really was quite a dicey manoeuvre. There goes number 22, Andrea de Cesaris, past the slow Tyrrell. Borgood really having a highly dramatic moment in the Kyalami Grand Prix. He's coming round now towards the pits, and I feel sure he must visit the pits to check 1 or 2 things out. In fact, looking at the vibrations on that nose cone, it looks very much as though that was dislodged in what I imagine to have been his spin. So, the Tyrrell team remove the offending nose cone, and one wonders whether Borgood will be back out in the race. Here we have the position after 40 laps. Alain Prost is leading. Alain Prost has taken his teammate. He's in the lead from René Arnoux. We've not seen much of the leading Renault cars in the last few moments because of the dramas in the race, but now he's leading. And there is René Arnoux, who at this moment in time is lying in 4th place in the Kyalami South African Grand Prix. Alain Prost leads. René Arnoux is in 2nd place. Carlos Reutemann is in 3rd. Keke Rosberg in 4th place. John Watson in 5th. Niki Lauda 6th. And Didier Pironi in 7th place. There is Pironi. Now remember that Pironi came in to have a tyre change, and yet he has got back up into 3, 6, 7, 8th place. So Pironi is charging in the surviving Ferrari. It just demonstrates the enormous power potential of the turbocharged engines in the rarefied atmosphere of the Kyalami Grand Prix. There is Didier Pironi. He's being pursued by number 10, Manfred Winkelhock in the ATS. Watson goes through. There is Pironi. I think it was Watson who went through. It could have been Lauda, but maybe Lauda is now ahead of Watson. Well, we shall see. No, there is Lauda. So, obviously, Didier Pironi has made progress further up through the field. We rejoin the leader. I assume it to be the leader. I assume it to be Alain Prost, the 26-year-old Frenchman. There he is. The 26-year-old Frenchman who comes from Saint-Chamond in France. He really is having a fine start to the season, but no, he's not. He is slowing dramatically, and you can see cars going past him now. Let's look at the car carefully to see if we can see what the problem is. As Prost comes through, the car looks decidedly unstable. I think, yes, the front end there, the wheel rises in the air, and that indicates to me that he's got major problems. I think he's probably got a puncture in the rear tyre. You see the way that wheel just rotates very slowly. That shows that it's down on the back end and lifting that wheel. So Prost in trouble, the race leader coming very slowly toward the kink and almost certainly destined for the pits. The rest of the field going past. Well, this is very sad news. Oh, look at that! The wheel, the tyre, in fact, comes off the rim, and you can see the silver rim of the Renault. It's rotating, then it's not rotating, and this will be knocking on the suspensions dramatically. And you can see the damage that is being suffered by the rear bodywork. Well, drama indeed for Alain Prost. He comes into the pits, and the Renault pit crew are going to have a terrible problem sorting this one out, I would have thought. Is there any chance that Prost can rejoin the race? Into the pits, up goes the rear end. They're going to do, it looks like, a four-wheel change, but the suspension must have taken a battering when it was running on the rim. So we wait to know whether Alain Prost, the race leader that was, can rejoin. In the meantime, we turn our attention to car number 28. Once again, it's Didier Pironi, who is in the Flying Ferrari, the prancing horse team that is so popular across the world. not only in motor racing, but outside it. And the young Frenchman is doing a marvellous job. But look at this. Alain Prost is back out in the race. He is right with the race leader, René Arnoux, albeit, of course, he is 1 lap down. 1 lap down. Now, René Arnoux is leading at the present moment, and we've had 46 laps of this Grand Prix, but in behind him, and there is Prost. He's overtaken his teammate and is setting off. Just look how dramatically quickly he is pulling away from René Arnoux. There is a story, because perhaps René Arnoux is in trouble. Prost is going away so rapidly, and we see once more the gap that he has opened up already over René Arnoux. Prost getting away from the race leader. We must remember that René Arnoux is still leading the race. Interesting that number 3, Michel Alboreto, in the Tyrrell, appears to be staying with the Renault. Whether he continues to do so, we must watch with interest, because that could be significant. Now, and there's some dust goes up. Could that be an accident? No, they appear to be safely through. So Prost is through. There is René, and there is the trouble, and that is Derek Warwick out of his car. The Tolman, the Brian Hart turbocharged engine-powered Tolman car out of the race. Back to Peroni, and then number 11, tucked in just behind Peroni, is the Lotus. This is Elio De Angelis in the John Player Special and the Colin Chapman Lotus. So leading there is Peroni, and it looks as though he is getting away from Elio De Angelis. And looking behind them now, let's see who we see as they come down this very, very fast straight. It's still the flying Ferrari, Didier Peroni, and chasing after him, Elio De Angelis. Well, drama indeed in the South African Grand Prix, with the retirement at very early stage of Nelson Piquet, the reigning world champion. After that, we saw Jacques Lafitte. There is Jacques Lafitte. He was in because he's into the pits, and this could be trouble indeed for Jacques Lafitte, the man who finished 3rd in the championship last year. Carlos Reutemann, El Lole, up into 2nd place in the South African Grand Prix. He won it in 1981, and so he will be particularly pleased with his performance here today. He came under a lot of criticism at the end of the 1981 season for what some thought to be a listless and uninspired drive at the Las Vegas round. But Carlos is back. After talking of retirement, he's back with the Williams team, and this really is a fine performance. He's lying 2nd at the present moment and chasing after the elusive Renault. In 3rd place at the moment, we have Didier Peroni in the Ferrari. He really is going, and going well after that pit stop. The turbocharged power of the Ferrari is putting it to good effect. He certainly is making a fine performance now, and closing, if anything, on Carlos Reutemann. In 4th place, we have Keke Rosberg. In 5th, John Watson. And in 6th place, Niki Lauda. This long view of the circuit at Kyalami shows us the corner that they come out of, the slow right-hander, and then down through the kink onto the fast straight past the pits, down toward Crowthorne Corner. This is where the speeds go up to something of the order of 200 miles an hour. Incredibly quick and demanding on the drivers. And now we see car number 16, René Arnoux, the race leader. Arnoux has driven well, but we see that I saw a flash of that blue car, Michel Alboreto, in the Tyrrell. Now that is an interesting situation, because the Tyrrell is still with Arnoux, which suggests that the Frenchman has certainly reduced the pace of the Renault car, and perhaps this means that he really is having to nurse his tyres. See how Alboreto is right with him as they go through the 2 left-handers. Alboreto hanging on in the tighter parts of the circuit. Does René Arnoux have a problem? I'm looking carefully at the tyres, but no, it appears that the car is okay at the present moment. But see how close the Tyrrell is as they come through the right-hander. Now the power, the immense power of the turbocharged Renault engines takes over, and Arnoux pulls away. This time we see Niki Lauda, twice former world champion, driving the Marlboro McLaren, making his return to motor racing after a layoff, a long layoff in which he concentrated upon his business activities. But he's lost none of his flair, none of his ability, and proved to be very quick in practice. Now Lauda is lying 6th in the race. That means he's in with a chance of championship points. And now Lafitte back into the pits. Jacques Lafitte having a very unhappy race, and you can see he's getting out of the car. I can't see what the problem is, but Lafitte is out of the car. His race is run, and that's a disappointing start to the season for the Frenchman, the experienced Frenchman, the very popular man who finished 3rd in the championship and put in some inspired drives last season. So, back to the leader, and now this time we see number 15. That is Alain Prost. One can tell from the bodywork, which is still flapping just ahead of the rear wheel nearest to the camera now. So Prost still driving hard, and amazingly he really is going. He's up into 4th place at the present moment. So from having made a pit stop, from having rejoined in behind his teammate over 1 lap down, Prost is powering round in the turbocharged Renault, the Renault Elf car. And he's up into 4th place, and I believe that he's closing on the person in 3rd place, which must be Didier Pironi. So Prost, you can see the speed at which he's travelling down into the right-hander. You can hear the gear changes. Now we switch back to René Arnoux, and there, still shadowing him, is Michel Alboreto in the Tyrrell. Now that does mean, undoubtedly, that Arnoux is nursing the car. No obvious signs of difficulty, but Arnoux is nursing the car. One wonders whether he will be able to last the full distance of the race. We're on the 60th lap at the present moment, and Arnoux is working hard to stay ahead of the normally aspirated Cosworth-powered Tyrrell. Across the start line once more. Number 3, Michel Alboreto, 25 years old, born in Italy. He lives in Milan, and he certainly is driving extraordinarily well for the Ken Tyrrell team here at Kyalami today. And look at that news of Alain Prost's performance. 1 minute, 8.278 seconds, 134 miles per hour, and over 216 miles per hour. He's lowered the lap record yet again. And the startling thing about that is that he came in on 3 wheels, you could almost say on 2.5, because he lost the tyre cover on a rear wheel, came into the pits with the car resting on the rim and being balanced on the front and rear wheels on the opposite corners, and yet after a wheel change the mechanics on the Renault car really have done a superb job, because he's back out there. Despite the flapping bodywork, he has lowered the lap record time to just over 1 minute 8 seconds, 134 miles an hour, and that means that he really is powering on. He passes number 33. This is Derek Daly in the Theodore car. The Irishman seeing the tail of Alain Prost, the Frenchman, as Prost makes a significant bid to join up with the leaders. You can see how he's pulled away from Daly now, but Alboreto is about to go past the Theodore. So we must be watching, yes, René Arnoux there. It was Arnoux who went past Derek Daly, but he's pulling well away. Still no obvious signs of difficulty, except that he's not pulling away from the Cosworth-powered cars. Difficult to select these. The difference between the two Renaults, apart from the drivers' helmets, Very few other differences. But Arnaud is driving well, a quality drive from the Frenchman when he's nursing his car, knowing that he's got a problem. He's still in the lead, but I'm quite sure that his pit crew will be telling him that his teammate is powering up through the field. We can't see the pitfalls from here, but I'm quite sure that as he goes past the pits now, Arnaud will know that Prost is having a charge. At the last count, Prost was up into 4th place, and this lap chart you see now, this scoreboard you see now, is not quite accurate. It's Arnaud and Reutemann, but we think that Pironi is ahead of Reutemann and up into 2nd place. Certainly, Prost is up into 4th, ahead of Rosberg and Watson. And there we see one of the Renaults going through, and that is Prost, who has moved ahead. This is quite startling. He's moved ahead of Didier Pironi in the Ferrari. So that just is an indication of the performance here. Alain Prost up into 2nd place. Now only his teammate René Arnoux to haul in to win this South African Grand Prix of 1982. He's flown past the Ferrari. Quite extraordinary, but it begins to raise the question, is Pironi in trouble? Certainly, he has driven remarkably well since his pit stop, and he moved up ahead of Reutemann into 2nd place. Now he's been taken by Prost, and it does appear that the Renault's turbocharged cars are supreme in these rarefied atmospheric conditions, 6,000 feet above sea level here at Kyalami in South Africa. All eyes on Alain Prost. All eyes really also on the bodywork of that car to see whether or not it could possibly interfere with the performance. It certainly hasn't so far, and the mechanics will have looked at that very carefully in the pits before allowing it out again. A trio of red and white cars coming down into Crowthorne Corner, led by Niki Lauda. Lauda is now ahead of John Watson, so he has moved up into 5th place in the race ahead. No, 6th place, because of course Prost has powered up through the field. So the order now is René Arnoux leading, Alain Prost in 2nd place, Didier Pironi 3rd, Carlos Reutemann in 4th place, Rosberg in 5th, Niki Lauda in 6th place, and John Watson in 7th place. The Alfa Romeo that you see is several laps behind. So John Watson there, good shot of Watson through the right-hander, chasing after and trying to recover that place from his teammate, the Austrian Niki Lauda. Through the right hand, Leeuwkop, now renamed Westbank, towards the kink and onto the pit straight once more. Under the bridge, Watson completes another lap, and here we see one of the Williams cars. It's Keke Rosberg. He's just overtaken, I think that must be Chico Serra. So has the Lotus gone through, and then we see the two red and white Alphas. I'm not sure, we'll check that out this time as they come through the left-hander. There goes Rosberg, there goes Elio De Angelis, and there is John Watson, so it must be Niki Lauda just ahead of him. Number 22 is Andrea De Cesaris in the Alfa Romeo, through the left-hander, chasing after Lauda. We pick up the order now. It's Lauda who is there. What a fine performance from the Austrian on his return to motor racing. Niki Lauda, a real technician, a craftsman in the art of motor racing, showing that he's not gone stale. He's come back to the business and is very quick, very fast and very polished. So, Lauda being pursued by De Cesaris in the Alfa. Still Rosberg, pursued by Elio De Angelis in the John Player Lotus, the John Player Special. Not on the same lap as these three cars, De Angelis, so the cars to watch are Rosberg in the Williams, the Saudi Williams, then Lauda, and then De Cesaris. But even De Cesaris is a lap down, and so we should be looking for Watson, who's a very short distance behind and trying to close up on his teammate Niki Lauda. It seems that Rosberg is not getting away in the Williams from De Angelis in the John Player Special, and I wonder whether or not he is suffering perhaps from tyres going off a little. We now switch back to René Arnoux, so we're back with the leader of the South African Grand Prix, the first race in this championship. The big question is, can he hang on in the latter stages of the race to take victory? Still we see the ever-present, the shadow of this Renault. It's number 3, Michel Arboreto in the Tyrrell. He's been there for many laps now, perhaps for the last 15 or more laps, dogging René Arnoux. And that is an indication of the problems that the French driver may have, nursing his tyres. He knows that he has a buffer and is trying to make that buffer last until the checkered flag. And that is interesting, because where is Rosberg? There is De Angelis, followed by Lauda, and there is Rosberg, and he is dropping back. He's been taken by Lauda, so Niki Lauda, the Austrian, moves up yet another place and is into 5th place. We see De Cesaris going through to take Rosberg, so the tag Saudi Williams in difficulty, and Rosberg, after a very spirited performance, dropping back. Once again, the John Player Special, Lauda going past again. So as they come down the fast pit straights, De Angelis tucks in behind, pulls out, having got a little bit of slipstream, to try and take Lauda as they go into Crowthorne corner. Can't do it, and so Lauda stays there. De Cesaris goes through. Still with Rosberg struggling on, hoping to be able to continue and to finish, and perhaps finish in the points. Still time yet for other people to suffer dramas during the latter stages of the race. Lauda, De Angelis, through Ford corner, down the hill into the S's, towards the S's, downhill, very fast, very demanding. Any momentary loss of concentration would be absolutely crucial to a driver now. And that is to Pironi. Oh dear, Ferrari are not having the best of good luck today. Didier Pironi going very slowly. I thought he was headed for the pits. Now that's extraordinary, because Didier Pironi is coming very slowly down the straight. He's overtaken the pit road, either deliberately or not, I don't know. And he goes through Crowthorne and is about to be swallowed up by Niki Lauda, Andrea De Cesaris, and, or rather, Elio De Angelis in the John Player Special. And so, drama for the Ferrari. Didier Pironi had driven so well. He suffered a pit stop and now is creeping round. The question is, will he be able to make it either to the pits or, for that matter, to the checkered flag? So, lap 69, and Didier Pironi is in trouble. Niki Lauda gratefully accepts the gift from Pironi of yet another place. He climbs up now, I believe, into 4th place in this race. We have Arnoux and Prost in 1st and 2nd places, Lauda in 3rd, and now Niki Lauda in 4th place. Down past the pits goes Elio De Angelis in the Lotus. We get a brief glimpse of number 18 there, which is Raoul Boesel in the March. But Lauda in car number 8, the Marlboro McLaren, is still driving hard. Now happily in 4th place. He will be mightily pleased with himself. He will regard this as an excellent performance and the right way to come back into motor racing. And Pironi is into the pits. Didier Pironi into the pits. And yes, it appears it's a fuel problem, because we can see that they're definitely trying to put fuel in. And so I wonder if he's suffering from fuel starvation. Anything is possible, and Mauro Forghieri is looking down over the back of the car, and it looks as though he may have a problem. And whilst all this action has been going on, Alain Prost, 26-year-old Frenchman, has retaken the lead in this race after the most amazing and dramatic race up through the field. And there is Prost taking the lead from René Arnoux, and that will be a bitter pill for Arnoux to swallow. It clearly demonstrates the fact that he has had a problem in the handling of his car. Perhaps it's a tyre problem because the Michelin tyres, which the Renaults are using in this race, are being perhaps affected by the new surface on this Kyalami circuit. It was relayed after the Kyalami 9-hour race, and it could be that the tyres have gone off. Of course, Alain Prost had a complete tyre change when he came in for his pit stop, and therefore he's unlikely to have too much of a problem with his tyres for the remainder of the race. So Pironi dropped out on lap 69, and with only 7 laps now to go to the end of this race, the picture has changed. Alain Prost for Renault leads. In second place, it's René Arnoux. Are they going to repeat the performance of 1980 when Renault won the South African Grand Prix? I noticed that Jacques Lafitte was second in the Ligier in 1980, but certainly it looks as though Renault could be poised to improve upon that and get a 1-2 result here at Kyalami. But that is totally dependent upon René Arnoux' car withstanding the pressures, him nursing the tyres through to the checkered flag. And here we see Alain Prost. He will be feeling very exhilarated at this stage, no doubt maintaining his concentration for the remaining few laps of the race. A very difficult time, I think, a lonely time for a driver to be out front, having driven as hard as Prost has, and see the flapping bodywork. I'm asking myself if that is getting worse, because certainly it seems to be showing much more dramatically than it did. But he is safely through and ahead of Chico Serra in the surviving Fittipaldi. Serra still going, albeit well down the field. Prost round through the right-hander, downhill into the fast left-hander at Ford, then on down towards the S's. 2 left-handers, very tricky, very fast. Prost really having one of the exceptional Grand Prix drives. I don't think anyone would deny that this has been a great performance by Alain Prost. The crowds really are rising to this performance. Big crowd here at Kyalami, some 75,000 people watching Alain Prost go through a very dramatic race. A pit stop, the whole of a tyre cover coming in on the rim, rejoining, recovering a whole lap against his teammate René Arnoux. There now is Carlos Reutemann. Reutemann now has moved up into second place ahead of René Arnoux, and that tells its own story. Here we have a normally aspirated Ford Cosworth engine-powered Williams, and Reutemann has powered it up into second place ahead of the very much higher powered turbocharged Renault cars, which everyone expected to dominate the South African scene. Well, lo and behold, Lollet is up into second place and going very well indeed. That really underlines his return to motor racing. I say return, he hasn't missed a race, but of course he did announce his retirement and then rescind that decision. though once again the leading Renault, Alain Prost, really on the countdown to victory now. There has been an astonishing battle between Arnoux and Reutemann. Arnoux has had to give best, and so it's Reutemann in second place, René Arnoux in third. Through the left-hander where they use the full width of the road with the power on early as they go up what is the hill towards a blind right-hander, the Leeuwkop, renamed West Bank. And then they come out of that steep right-hander and the power comes in and we see the tremendous speed of the Renault Formula One Grand Prix turbocharged car through the kink and over the start-finishing line once more. Arnoux with very few laps to go now. And an improvement before Niki Lauda. We now have, of course, Niki Lauda in fourth place in the Marlboro McLaren. The interesting thing being that we have turbocharged cars first and third, normally aspirated cars second and fourth. Rosberg is still in the top six, as also is John Watson. But all eyes are on Alain Prost as he comes round once more. Downhill, Kyalami is built on the side of a gentle hill in the South African veld. And here you see it going up the right-hander, back out onto the main straight once more. The big crowd urging him on. They've enjoyed an exhilarating race here today. And we see Alain Prost completing one more lap. What a splendid view of the Kyalami circuit and the magnificent countryside as we go back to the race leader, who is now on his last lap. He scythes past number 18, Raoul Boesel, in the march. The march has gone well and Boesel put in a very effective performance today, but all eyes are on Alain Prost. He goes through Crowthorne Corner for the last time. The bitter-sweet taste of victory. It's bitter because he had to endure a pit stop and felt that there was no chance of a victory, but now it's turned to sweetness and Prost is coming down through Ford, on down into the S's, and he knows that he is a very short distance away from victory now. Through Clubhouse, down into the S's. Certainly this Renault engine, turbocharged engine, has performed magnificently. He's now back onto the straight and through the kink, a few short yards to do to complete the race. He could coast home for sure, and there he is across the line. That raised clenched fist which signals victory for Alain Prost, a tremendous victory for the Renault Elf team. Now we're waiting for Carlos Reutemann to come home in second place. There he is, coming round through the kink. Carlos Reutemann takes second place for Williams, and we now wait as two cars go through for René Arnoux, who finishes in third place. Arnoux finishes third, and Lauda in fourth place from Keke Rosberg fifth. We see now, as John Watson finished in sixth place, Alain Prost waving to the crowd. A delighted crowd. He has every right to be delighted with this performance today. Out of apparent disaster came a magnificent victory. Reutemann comes alongside, no doubt to salute what was the fine performance from Alain Prost. But Carlos Reutemann certainly has put in an amazing performance for the normally aspirated engines, the Cosworth-powered cars. And Frank Williams will be overjoyed with the 6 points that Reutemann will bring to the Williams team, to Reutemann's own championship chances. Alain Prost at 26, a lot of motor racing years ahead of him, but a very polished driver even at this early stage. He has the fire in his belly, but he also has the style and the brain, the motor racing brain, to make a great motor racing driver, acknowledged amongst the experts as being perhaps one of the brightest prospects. Keke Rosberg also, of course, deserves a mention here because he has had a very fine debut race with the Williams team. But as we look down at the car, it's stationary now. It's the chance, the turn of the Renault mechanics, the team, to congratulate Alain Prost, to swarm around him, to rip the balaclava off his head and to undo his overalls. They're doing him a service there because I've no doubt in my own mind that he will be feeling dehydrated and he's taking on water now. The positions at the end of the race: it was won, the South African Grand Prix, by Alain Prost. Second, Carlos Reutemann in the Williams. Third, René Arnoux in the Renault. Fourth, Niki Lauda in the Marlboro McLaren. Fifth, Keke Rosberg in the second of the Williams. And sixth, John Watson in the Marlboro McLaren. An interesting result because we have first and third, the two Renaults. Second and fifth were the two Williams cars. And fourth and sixth, the two Marlboro McLarens. Carlos Reutemann receives his garland. Alain Prost the same, and René Arnoux. Prost waves in a victory salute. He throws his garland to the crowds. Is this a Roman amphitheatre? And even Reutemann joins. The splendid trophy is nearly dropped on the floor, but Prost will be delighted to receive that. And the champagne goes into the trophy and not down Alain Prost's throat. All the exhilaration of victory. These drivers have worked very hard in very, very hot surroundings at incredibly high speeds. Remember, a new lap record at 1 minute 8 seconds for the Renault Elf. And now we look forward to your joining us in Buenos Aires, Argentine, for the second round of the 1982 World Motor Racing Grand Prix Championship.